Driverly.com, unlimited drama series.
The only thing more reliable than Clarice's book club nights is my insomnia. At 2 in the morning, I'm sitting in our kitchen, staring at the remnants of her latest literary gathering scattered across the granite countertop. Wine glasses with lipstick stains, crumbs from expensive cheese, and a pile of romance novels that look suspiciously unread. My name is Eli Hartman, and I fix broken things for a living. Jewelry, mostly. Watches that stopped ticking, rings that lost their shine, necklaces with missing links. There's something poetic about mending what others have given up on. Too bad I never saw the irony coming. Clarice's phone buzzes under a copy of Pride and Prejudice. She must have forgotten it again, which happens more often lately. The screen lights up with a message preview. Last night was magic. Again soon? Ivan. I freeze, my coffee mug halfway to my lips. Ivan. Not exactly a book club name, unless they're reading Russian literature. But knowing Clarice's taste in books runs more towards steamy romance than Tolstoy, I doubt it. The smart thing would be to put the phone down, pretend I never saw anything, maybe talk to her in the morning. But curiosity has always been my weakness, and after 15 years of marriage, I've earned the right to a few answers. I scroll through the messages. The timestamps tell a story my wife never bothered to share. Tuesday night, supposedly at Sophie's house discussing The Great Gatsby. She was actually texting Ivan about meeting at the marina. Thursday's emergency book club session involved detailed plans about his waterfront condo. My hands shake as I read deeper. Photos from last week's girls' night show Clarice laughing with her usual crew. Sophie, Mira, and some guy I don't recognize. Tall, dark hair, expensive clothes. His hand rests casually on my wife's shoulder in one picture, around her waist in another. The messages paint a clear picture. Ivan Petrovich, according to his contact info. Serbian, drives some flashy imported sports car, and apparently runs a YouTube channel about lifestyle optimization, whatever that means. More importantly, he's been optimizing his lifestyle with my wife for the past 3 months. I set the phone down carefully, like it might explode. The house feels different now, smaller somehow. Every family photo on the refrigerator, every shared memory in this kitchen, suddenly looks like evidence of my own stupidity. Upstairs, Clarice sleeps peacefully in our bed, probably dreaming about her next book club meeting. I wonder if she ever thinks about me during these adventures, or if I'm just the convenient husband who pays the mortgage while she explores her literary interests. The rage builds slowly, like water behind a dam. Not the explosive kind you see in movies, but something colder, more calculated. I've always been good at solving problems, finding the broken piece and figuring out how to fix it. This situation just requires a different kind of repair work. I grab my laptop and start researching. Ivan Petrovich has quite the online presence. His YouTube channel, Alpha Nomad Adventures, features videos of him traveling around Europe, giving dating advice, and showing off his supposedly glamorous lifestyle. The comments section is full of lonely guys asking for tips on confidence in women. Ironic, considering he's currently stealing someone else's wife. His Instagram shows the same story. Expensive cars, fancy restaurants, gym selfies, but there's something desperate about it all, like he's trying too hard to prove something. The view counts on his recent videos have been dropping. His last few posts got barely any engagement. Maybe Ivan isn't as successful as he pretends to be. Maybe Clarice represents more than just a fling. Maybe she's his ticket to stability in a foreign country. The thought makes me smile for the first time in hours. I close the laptop and head to the garage. Hidden behind my workbench is a small dash cam I bought months ago, planning to install it in Clarice's car after a minor fender bender. I never got around to it, but tonight seems like the perfect time for a little automotive upgrade. The installation takes 20 minutes. The camera is tiny, hidden behind the rearview mirror, and connects to an app on my phone. If Clarice is going to keep lying about her book club activities, at least I'll have a front row seat to the truth. Back in the kitchen, I return her phone exactly where I found it, under the same romance novel. Tomorrow morning, she'll wake up hungover and dismissive, probably blame me for some imagined slight. But I'll be ready with questions of my own. The coffee tastes bitter now, but I finish it anyway. Outside, the Maine coast is quiet, except for the distant sound of waves against the docks. Our little town has always been the kind of place where everyone knows everyone else's business, where secrets don't stay hidden for long. Clarice is about to learn that lesson the hard way. I check my watch. Almost 3 in the morning. In a few hours, she'll stumble downstairs with that fake smile, kiss my cheek, and tell me all about the fascinating literary discussions she definitely didn't have last night. I'll nod and play the oblivious husband while my phone streams live footage from her car. That was the moment I stopped being her husband and started being her reckoning. Morning arrives with the subtlety of a hangover. Clarice stumbles into the kitchen at 10:30, wearing yesterday's clothes and sunglasses indoors. Her hair looks like she styled it with a blender, and there's a hickey on her neck that definitely wasn't there when she left for book club. "Coffee," she mumbles, heading straight for the machine without looking at me. I'm sitting at the counter, already dressed for work, watching her performance with newfound clarity. Rough night discussing literature? She shoots me a look over her sunglasses. We stayed up late talking about character development. You know how passionate Sophie gets about symbolism? Right, Sophie. I take a sip of my coffee, keeping my voice casual. Funny thing about Sophie, I ran into her husband at the hardware store yesterday. He mentioned she was home all evening watching Netflix with the kids. Clarice freezes, coffee mug halfway to her lips. For just a second, I see panic flash across her face. Then the mask slides back into place, and she laughs it off. You must have misunderstood. We met at the new wine bar downtown, not Sophie's house. She turns away, busying herself with cream and sugar. God, Eli, do you really need to interrogate me about every girl's night? Just making conversation. I stand up, grabbing my keys from the counter. All that book club cardio must be exhausting. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Just seems like you're getting a real workout from all this literary analysis. I head toward the door, then pause. Oh, and honey, you left your phone in the kitchen last night. Might want to check your messages. I leave her standing there, probably wondering how much I know. The answer is more than she thinks, but not as much as I will. 20 minutes later, I'm in my workshop downtown, pretending to focus on repairing a vintage watch, while my phone buzzes with notifications from the dashcam app. Clarice is driving somewhere, and she's not alone. The passenger seat holds a tall man with dark hair and expensive clothes. Even through the grainy camera feed, I can see his hand resting on her thigh as they talk. The audio is muffled, but I catch fragments of conversation. Thinks I was at Sophie's, Clarice's voice, laughing. American husbands are so trusting, the man replies in accented English. In Serbia, we watch our women more carefully. He's not watching anything. Eli's completely clueless. They're heading toward the Marina district, where the expensive condos overlook the water. I switch to the GPS tracking feature and watch their little blue dot navigate through downtown traffic. They park at Harbor View Towers, the most expensive address in town. My phone rings. Johnny Fletcher, my oldest friend and the closest thing this town has to a private investigator since he left the police force. Eli, you busy? Need to talk. What's up? It's about Clarice. Look, I wasn't going to say anything, but I've been seeing her around town with some foreign guy. Drives a red Porsche, parks it overnight by the marina most weekends. I set down my tools. How long have you known? Couple months. Figured it was none of my business, but then I heard you asking around about her book club schedule. Donnie's voice trails off. You already know, don't you? I'm learning. What else have you seen? They meet at that new wine bar on Thursdays, usually with her girlfriends. But the girlfriends leave early, and your wife stays behind with Romeo. Last week I saw them arguing in the parking lot. She was crying, he was yelling in some foreign language. Serbian, I say automatically. You've done your homework. Want to meet at the Bait and Switch tonight? I might have more information. The Bait and Switch is our town's dive bar, the kind of place where fishermen drink away their troubles, and gossip flows like cheap beer. If there's dirt to be found on Ivan Petrovich, that's where it'll surface. 7 o'clock, I tell Donnie, then hang up. The rest of the day passes in a blur of routine tasks. Cleaning jewelry, adjusting watch bands, making small talk with customers. But my mind keeps drifting to that dashcam footage, to Clarice's laugh as she mocked my ignorance. At 5:30, I lock up the shop and drive home. Clarice... Lisa's car is in the driveway, but she's not in the house. I find a note on the kitchen counter. Emergency at the cafe. Home late. Don't wait up. Z. The The cafe, right. Clarice owns a small coffee shop downtown, the kind of place that serves overpriced lattes to tourists and locals who think they're too sophisticated for Dunkin' Donuts. It's been struggling lately, but she refuses to admit it. I checked the dashcam app. Her car hasn't moved from Harborview Towers. Time for some detective work of my own. The bait and switch smells like cigarettes and broken dreams, with a hint of fried fish that's seen better days. Donnie's already at our usual table in the back corner, nursing a beer and looking like he's got bad news to share. "You look terrible," he says as I sit down. "Thanks. You mentioned information about Ivan?" Donnie slides a manila folder across the table. "Ivan Petrovich, 28, originally from Belgrade. Been in the US for 2 years on a tourist visa that expired 6 months ago. Runs that YouTube channel, but the money's drying up. Views are down, sponsors are dropping him." I flip through the papers, screenshots of his social media, financial records that Donnie somehow obtained through his network of ex-cop contacts. He's broke? Getting there. That Porsche? Leased, and he's behind on payments. The condo? Month-to-month rental, and he owes 3 months back rent. Donnie takes a long drink. "Your wife might be his meal ticket, or he's hers. The cafe's been losing money for months. Either way, they're both playing a dangerous game." Donnie leans forward. "There's something else. I talked to Sophie Martinez. You know, Clarice's friend? She's been covering for your wife, but she's not happy about it." "What did she say?" "That Clarice has been lying to everyone, not just you. Tells Ivan she's unhappily married and planning to leave. Tells her friends that Ivan's just a harmless flirtation. Meanwhile, she's been using book club as cover for hotel visits and weekend trips. The information hits like a punch to the gut. Not because it's surprising, but because it confirms what I already suspected. Clarice isn't just cheating. She's orchestrating an elaborate deception that involves our entire social circle. Sophie's ready to talk if you need a witness," Donnie continues. She feels guilty about the lying, especially after Clarice asked her to provide an alibi for next weekend's book club retreat in Portland. "There's no retreat, is there?" Ivan posted about a romantic weekend getaway on his Instagram story. Deleted it an hour later, but I got screenshots. I study the photos. Ivan's Porsche packed with luggage, a reservation confirmation for a luxury hotel, champagne in an ice bucket. The caption read, "Weekend with my American goddess." My American goddess. The phrase makes my stomach turn. "What are you planning to do?" Donnie asks. Good question. The old Eli would have confronted Clarice directly, demanded an explanation, probably ended up apologizing for snooping. But the old Eli was a fool who trusted his wife and believed in happy endings. I need more evidence first, something concrete. Like what? Access to her phone, her computer, maybe her social media accounts. I finish my beer and stand up. Clarice always uses the same password for everything. Our dog's name plus our anniversary year. If I can get into her iCloud account. Donnie grins. Now you're thinking like a detective. Back home, I wait until Clarice returns from her emergency at the cafe. She's in a good mood, humming while she gets ready for bed, probably still glowing from her afternoon with Ivan. I pretend to be asleep when she slides under the covers, but I'm actually planning my next move. The next morning, after she leaves for the cafe, I fire up her laptop. She never logs out of anything, a habit that used to annoy me but now proves useful. Her iCloud account opens immediately, revealing a treasure trove of information. Photos from the past 3 months tell the real story. Ivan at fancy restaurants, Ivan on his boat, Ivan in what looks like hotel rooms. Clarice appears in most of them, looking happier than I've seen her in years. There are also photos I recognize from her girls' nights. But now I can see Ivan's hand on her waist, his arm around her shoulders, the intimate looks they're sharing while Sophie and Mira smile awkwardly in the background. The messages are worse. Hundreds of texts between Clarice and Ivan, planning their meetings, sharing intimate details, making fun of what Ivan calls the husband situation. They've been discussing her divorce strategy, how much she might get in a settlement, whether Ivan's immigration status would improve if he married an American citizen. But the most damaging evidence is a conversation between Clarice and Sophie from last week. Clarice, he's getting suspicious. Asked about book club. Sophie, maybe you should slow down with Ivan. Clarice, why? Eli's too passive to do anything about it. Sophie, I don't like lying for you anymore. Then don't. I'll handle my own alibis. I screenshot everything, save it to a secure folder, and email copies to myself. Then I dig deeper into Ivan's online presence, looking for weaknesses. His YouTube channel is struggling, just like Donnie said. The comments sections are full of criticism, people calling him fake, questioning his lifestyle claims, mocking his accent. His recent videos about conquering American women have particularly harsh feedback. More interesting are the comments from other Serbian users, writing in Cyrillic. I run them through Google Translate and discover that Ivan's reputation back home isn't much better. Former friends calling him a fraud, ex-girlfriends warning about his manipulative behavior, family members expressing shame about his online persona. Ivan Petrovich isn't just a cheater, he's a professional con artist who's been running the same game across multiple countries. I close the laptop and check my watch. Time to pay a visit to Sophie Martinez. Sophie lives in a modest house near the elementary school, where she works as a teacher. She's in her garden when I arrive, pulling weeds with the frustrated energy of someone who needs
90 days of calls to the same number. You bought a burner for her.
Give it to me.
One reason not to drop it.
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
to keep her hands busy. Ely. She looks guilty the moment she sees me. I was wondering when you'd show up. We need to talk. She sets down her gardening tools and leads me to the porch. I suppose you know about Clarice and Ivan? I know enough. What I want to understand is why you've been helping her lie to me. Sophie's face crumples. I never wanted to get involved. Clarice said you two were having problems, that she needed space to figure things out. She made it sound like you were okay with her seeing other people. And does that sound like something I'd be okay with? I realized that weeks ago, but by then I was in too deep. Every time I tried to back out, Clarice would guilt me into one more favor, one more alibi. What kind of favors? Covering for her absences, taking fake photos to post on social media, even letting her use my address for hotel reservations. Sophie looks miserable. I know how this looks, but I swear I thought I was helping a friend through a rough patch. What changed your mind? Last week, when she asked me to lie about the Portland trip. She was so casual about it, like deceiving you was just another item on her to-do list. Sophie meets my eyes. That's when I realized Clarice doesn't care about anyone but herself. I pull out my phone and show her the screenshots from Clarice's messages. She's been planning this for months. The divorce, the settlement, probably the immigration marriage to Ivan. Sophie reads in silence, her face growing paler with each message. Oh my God, she's been using all of us. I need your help to stop her. What do you want me to do? I smile, and for the first time in days, it feels genuine. Just keep being her friend for a little while longer. I have a plan. The plan starts with a simple premise. If Clarice wants to play games, I'll make sure she's playing by my rules. Step 1 involves a trip to the bank. As joint account holders, I have every legal right to freeze our shared accounts pending a financial review. It's a temporary measure, but it'll force Clarice to explain some interesting expenses, like the hotel bills and restaurant charges I've been tracking. Step 2 requires a locksmith. While Clarice is at the cafe, I have the house locks changed. Completely legal, since my name is on the deed. I leave her belongings in neat boxes on the porch, along with a note. Since you prefer book club to home, I thought you might want to relocate your library. Step 3 is where Sophie comes in handy. She calls Clarice with urgent news. Someone broke into my workshop last night, and I'm devastated about the stolen jewelry. Could Clarice come home immediately to comfort her traumatized husband? I watch from across the street as Clarice arrives to find her boxes on the porch and her key no longer working. She pounds on the door, shouting my name, drawing attention from the neighbors. Mrs. Holbrook from next door comes out to investigate, along with the retired couple from the corner house. Perfect audience for what comes next. I open the door but leave the chain lock engaged. Oh, hi honey, how was book club last night? Eli, what is this? Why are my things outside? I figured you'd be more comfortable staying with Sophie, or maybe Ivan. I hear he has a lovely place at Harborview Towers. Her face goes white. I don't know what you're talking about. Really, because I have some interesting photos from your phone that suggest otherwise. I hold up a printed screenshot of her and Ivan at dinner. This doesn't look like any book club I've ever seen. The neighbors are definitely listening now. Mrs. Holbrook has her phone out, probably recording everything. In a town this small, gossip travels faster than wildfire. Let me in so we can discuss this privately, Clarice hisses. I think we're past private discussions. You made this public when you involved our friends in your lies. I close the door and walk away, leaving her standing on the porch with her boxes and her audience. My phone buzzes with a text from Donnie, Phase 2 ready when you are. Phase 2 involves Ivan's precious Porsche. Donnie and I meet at the marina after midnight, armed with 5 pounds of fresh fish scraps from the docks. We don't damage the car, that would be criminal. Instead, we pack the air vents with shrimp and sardines, pour fish oil under the seats, and leave a bag of rotting clams in the trunk. By morning, Ivan's status symbol will smell like a seafood processing plant in August. This is either brilliant or insane, Donnie whispers as we work. Maybe both, but it's not illegal, and it sends a message. We're finished in 20 minutes. The car looks pristine from the outside, but the smell will take weeks to eliminate. Ivan's going to have some explaining to do to his leasing company. The next morning brings satisfying results. Ivan posts a furious video on his YouTube channel, ranting about small-town terrorists who vandalized his car. The comments section explodes with mockery, his own subscribers making jokes about his fishy situation and questioning why someone would target him specifically. But the real victory comes when Sophie calls with an update. Clarice tried to stay at Ivan's place last night, but he turned her away. Apparently he's not ready for that level of commitment. What did she do? Ended up at Mira's apartment. But get this, Mira's getting tired of the drama too. She told Clarice she needs to figure out her marriage problems without dragging everyone else into it. The dominoes are falling exactly as I hoped. Clarice's support network is crumbling, and Ivan's realizing that dating a married woman comes with complications he didn't anticipate. I spend the day at my workshop, fielding visits from curious neighbors and friends who've heard about the morning's drama. The story is spreading through town like a virus, growing more elaborate with each retelling. By noon, I'm apparently either a heartbroken victim or a vengeful mastermind, depending on who's doing the talking. Frank Morrison, an old fisherman who drinks at the Bait and Switch, stops by around 3 o'clock. Heard you're having some domestic troubles, son. News travels fast. In a town this size, hell, I knew about your wife's boyfriend before you did. Frank settles into the customer chair, clearly planning to stay a while. That Serbian fellow's been bragging about his American conquest at the Marina Bar for weeks. He has he? Yep, real charmer that one. Tells anyone who'll listen how easy American women are, how he's got your wife wrapped around his finger. Frank's eyes glitter with mischief. Of course, that was before his car started smelling like a fish market. I heard about that. Terrible shame. Frank grins. Word is, he's been calling around to every detail shop in 3 counties, trying to get rid of the stench. Nobody wants to touch it. We sit in comfortable silence for a moment. 2 men who understand that some victories don't need to be spoken aloud. What's your next move? Frank asks. Haven't decided yet, but the annual lobster festival is this weekend. Ah, Frank nods knowingly. That's when the whole town comes out to play. Good time for public announcements. Exactly what I was thinking. The Lobster Festival is our town's biggest event, drawing tourists from all over Maine. There's live music, food vendors, craft booths, and a stage where local residents share announcements, perform songs, or just make fools of themselves for entertainment. This year, I'm planning to be part of the show. Festival Day arrives with perfect Maine weather, sunny, breezy, and warm enough for the tourists to spend money on overpriced lobster rolls. I arrive early, before the crowds, and find the event coordinator setting up the sound system. Ely Hartman, I introduce myself. I'd like to sign up for the open mic session. She checks her clipboard. What kind of performance? Music, poetry, community announcement? Community announcement. I have some information the town might find interesting. By noon, the festival is in full swing. Families wander between booths, kids run around with sticky fingers, and the smell of fried seafood fills the air. I spot Clarice near the book club's fundraising table, looking tired and stressed. She's been staying at different friends' houses all week, and the strain is showing. Ivan is here too, standing near the marina display, probably trying to network with potential new victims. His Porsche is parked at the far end of the lot, windows down in a futile attempt to air out the lingering fish smell. Sophie finds me near the stage. Are you sure about this? Absolutely. It's time everyone knew the truth. Clarice is going to be humiliated. Clarice humiliated herself. I'm just providing the documentation. At 2 o'clock, the open mic session begins. Local musicians perform sea shanties. The mayor gives a speech about tourism revenue, and Mrs. Holbrook reads a poem about lobsters that makes everyone uncomfortable. Then it's my turn. I take the microphone, looking out at the crowd of familiar faces. Clarice is staring at me with growing alarm. probably sensing what's coming. Ivan looks confused but interested, like he's watching a show he doesn't quite understand. Good afternoon, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Eli Hartman. I own the jewelry repair shop on Main Street, and I've lived in this town my whole life. Murmurs of recognition from the crowd. So far, so good. I wanted to share something with you today about the importance of honesty in relationships, and what happens when people think they can fool an entire community. Clarice starts moving toward the stage, but the crowd is thick and she can't get through quickly. See, my wife Clarice has been running what she calls a book club for the past few months. Very literary group, always discussing classic novels and contemporary romance. I pull out my phone, where I've loaded the most damning screenshots. But it turns out, their favorite book has been How to Lie to Your Husband by Ivan Petrovich. The crowd gasps as I display the photos on the large screen behind me. Clarice and Ivan at restaurants, holding hands at the marina, kissing in his car. The images are clear enough that everyone can identify the participants. Now, I'm not here to shame anyone for their reading preferences, I continue, my voice carrying clearly through the sound system. But I do think the community should know when someone's been using local businesses and friendships to cover up their literary activities. Ivan pushes through the crowd, his face red with anger. This is harassment. You cannot do this. Actually, I can. These are photos from my wife's own phone, taken in public places. I'm just sharing some interesting literature with my neighbors. The crowd is eating this up. Phones are out, recording everything. This will be all over social media within the hour. Ivan reaches the stage and tries to grab the microphone. You are pathetic American husband. No wonder she wants real man. Big mistake. The crowd turns hostile immediately. Nobody likes an outsider insulting one of their own, especially not at their community festival. Real man? I laugh into the microphone. You mean the kind of real man who can't pay his rent, who's been lying about his immigration status, who runs away when his girlfriend needs a place to stay. Ivan lunges at me, but the stage is slippery from the morning's setup. He loses his footing and tumbles backward into the lobster tank display, sending dozens of angry crustaceans and gallons of seawater cascading across the festival grounds. The crowd erupts in laughter and applause. Ivan surfaces, dripping and furious, with a lobster clinging to his expensive shirt. Someone starts chanting, "Lobster boy, lobster boy," and soon half the festival has joined in. Clarice finally reaches the front of the crowd, her face a mask of rage and humiliation. Eli, stop this right now. Stop what? I'm just sharing some community news. Isn't that what the open mic is for? She climbs onto the stage, soaking wet from Ivan's splash landing. You're making a scene. I'm making a scene? That's rich, coming from someone who's been performing dinner theater with her boyfriend for 3 months. The crowd loves it. This is better entertainment than anything the festival organizers could have planned. You want to know what's really funny? I continue, addressing the audience. Ivan here has been telling everyone at the Marina Bar how easy American women are, how he's got my wife completely fooled. Meanwhile, Clarice has been telling her friends that Ivan's just a harmless flirtation. Nothing serious. I display more screenshots. Ivan's boastful messages to his Serbian friends, Clarice's dismissive comments about Ivan to Sophie. Both of them look stunned as their private conversations are revealed. Turns out, they've both been playing each other. Ivan thought he found a meal ticket to American citizenship. Clarice thought she found an exciting escape from her boring marriage. Instead, they found two people who are really, really good at lying. Ivan struggles out of the lobster tank, his dignity as soaked as his clothes. This is not over, he shouts, pointing at me. Actually it is. I hold up a manila folder. See, while you two were busy with your book club meetings, I did some research. Ivan, your visa expired 6 months ago. Immigration services might be interested in your current activities. And Clarice, the IRS might want to discuss those business expenses you've been claiming for personal trips. Both of them go pale. I don't actually plan to report anyone to the authorities. The public humiliation is punishment enough, but they don't know that. So here's what's going to happen, I announced to the crowd. Ivan's going to get in his fish-scented car and drive back to whatever rock he crawled out from under. Clarice is going to figure out where she wants to live, because it won't be in my house. And the rest of us are going to enjoy the festival and try to forget this unfortunate interruption to our community gathering. I set the microphone back in its stand and walk off the stage, leaving Clarice and Ivan standing there dripping and defeated. The crowd parts to let me through, and I can hear the buzz of excited conversation starting behind me. Sophie catches up with me at the edge of the festival grounds. That was either the most brilliant thing I've ever seen or the most terrible. Maybe both, but it's over now. What happens next? I look back at the festival, where Ivan is trying to sneak away while Clarice argues with Mira about something. The lobster tank is being refilled. The crowd is dispersing back to their normal activities, and life is returning to its usual rhythm. Next, I go back to fixing broken things, starting with myself. I walk away from the festival, away from the drama, away from the marriage that ended the moment I found that first text message. Behind me, I can hear Clarice calling my name, but I don't turn around. Some things, once broken, aren't worth repairing. The story ends here, at the moment of maximum drama, with every thread tied up and no soft landings for the guilty. Clarice and Ivan's deception has been exposed, their reputations destroyed, and their relationship revealed as the mutual con game it always was. I've gotten my revenge, not through violence or illegal schemes, but through the simple power of truth told at the right moment to the right audience. In a small town like ours, that's more devastating than any physical punishment could ever be. The festival continues without me, but I know the story of this afternoon will be told and retold for years to come. And every time someone mentions Clarice's book club or Ivan's American conquest, they'll remember the day the underdog finally bit back. Stvarno. 2-0, 2-5, 1-0, 1-6, 10 Trishulebiev.